Hi everybody, we're back once again. I'm back. I know I can't hardly contain myself.
Telethon fever.
Telethon fever. Oh my gosh! And we're getting into the late hours, and oh my goodness,
It's getting crazy.
Yeah, it's starting to. I mean, slowly but surely. You know, usually we're all getting into it at the beginning. We're all kind of nervous, and we do it once, and then we're ready to do it again. And I just realized I have my pen still stuck on me. But anyhow, we wanted to make an announcement. John and Karen Denbeigh just called in and it donated $100. So we really want to thank them for their donation. I think we have close to $1,500, a little over $1,500.
Should be a little over now.
Yeah. So we're really excited. The donations are starting to come in really well, and we hope that everybody continues to donate because in the next little bit we'll be doing
at the end of this hour.
At the end of this hour, we'll give you the grand totals on all of our giveaways, and so you can call in and
up your donation
and see who gets that. So, but before we do this, we want to give away this rug, and this was the rug that was being given away for the last hour from the 8 to 9. This was made by Meredith Ellis's grandmother. Her name was Trixie Ellis. And Amanda, did you pull the winning name right now?
Got one.
Got one.
Got one. Goes to Orpha Yeager.
Orpha Yeager, okay. So she's got this beautiful rug. I even like the colors too. So
teal.
We'll
call cool.
Teal is very cool. So we'll call her up and tell her when she can come and pick it up, and we'll take care of that for her. Now, we want to give you a brief overlook of what's going on this hour here at the Telethon. We have our vintage clothing tape, and Amanda and I both modeled for that.
That was great.
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. And I mean, it really was like stepping back in time to actually put on the old clothes, that somebody had actually worn.
Oh, I love the hats.
I know, the hats and the gloves. We had, everybody had the long gloves. And so that story's coming up in just a little bit. We're really excited. We also have Chris and Tony on the other set, and they're going to have a tape story, intro story, for Mr. Charles Hardman and the Spencer history. And the tape will be, all these tapes that we're cutting off will be shown all next week, so don't worry about that. And we're also having the tape on Wanda Cooper, and she collects antiques. And
galores.
Oh my gosh. She was kind of like, it was kind of the Helen Denbeigh and Wanda Cooper thing was kind of like thrown together.
Yeah.
And it was just so interesting to go in and see. She had the rose from her grandmother's wedding bouquet, and she was married in like 1902. And so, she's had this for a long, long time. And so I think that's all the tape stories. We're going to have lots of giveaways and a little brief weather announcement too for Mr. Griffith.
Oh, really?
He was in here and he requested it, so a little bit later on we'll get you the info of what's happening with the weather. Amanda? Make a couple announcements there?
Well, like we said, at the end of this hour, we're going to be upping the donations for the Stephen King book that's autographed and the Jeff Stetler autographed football. And that one's getting really high, so you better call in and make your donation for that.
Football.
And we have some candlesticks made by Jeff Betty, and those are so pretty. They would be great. I mean, for a gift or anything.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a lot of stories and things coming up, and it's going well this evening.
Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and get ready to go into our first tape for the evening for our hour. Excuse me. And this is the Helen Denbeigh vintage clothing tape, and Amanda and I both were kind of overseers of this, and we kind of organized it. Amanda did all the calling, and what we want to do is we really want to thank Lisa Taylor and her mother, Anna Niels.
So much.
Oh, she did so much. They pulled out all the clothing and they
dry clean.
Right, let us come over and try it all on. Dry clean, pulled out clothes, shoes, gloves, all the accessories we needed. And then on the actual taping day, she came upstairs.
Helped do our hair and makeup. And
did hair
put
and
us all together, and finishing touches.
Yeah, to get hats with the shoes and with
the necklace.
And the purses and everything. And it was just so much fun. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at that tape. And like we said, if you don't see the whole thing, which we're not going to show, we'll air the whole thing all next week. So let's go to that tape.
The purpose of this story is to let some of our older viewers reminisce and to show our younger viewers a glimpse of the past. In searching for vintage clothing, we were introduced to Helen Denbeigh, who let us model some of her fashions. And with the help of Sharon Stewart, we were able to tape in the McIntosh mansion.
Now you're seeing a summer formal tuxedo. The white jacket was worn with a black tie, always with a tuxedo. If you wore a white tie, it had to be tails. The evening dress was 1962, and it was my daughter's, Anna Neal. She wore it at the Black Walnut Festival, and it was bought in Charleston, probably at the Vogue or Imbies. These outfits were worn in the 50s, and you always wore gloves and carried a purse and wore a hat with any coat, always to go to church. And any party, tea, or anything like that, you always wore a hat. The suit was 50s too, and quite often with a suit like that, the girls would wear a mink stole of fur, mink fur.
Okay. Anything on the coat?
The coat, it's just a double-breasted swing type coat. I think they had, the coat was full like that because the dresses were full. They had great big bouffant dresses under them.
Now, did they always wear a hat to church too?
Always wore a hat to church and gloves. This is a brocade evening dress, cocktail type, formal that Mrs. McIntosh bought in Palm Beach, Florida. And it was in the 50s that was popular. And
Mr. McIntosh was gracious enough to let us use some of the clothes that the girls found here when we arrived.
right.
Thank you very much, Jesse and Gerald. Okay.
This is a lace formal made by Coco Chanel from Paris, and was bought in Bournemouth, England in 1962. And the first time I wore it, it had a jacket that matched the full length. It was on the Queen Mary on the voyage back from England. This was in the early 60s, and I remember buying the dress to wear to the Greenbrier. And the jacket is a sweater, but it's an evening sweater. And in the 60s, you didn't wear the long formal dresses. Most everything was short.
Grandmother, you have a funny story about that dress, don't you?
Oh, yes. At dinner that evening at the Greenbrier, we were all dressed in our formals with our husbands in their tuxedos, and the strap broke on that dress. and I had to run back up to my room, and I had a piece of sterling silver jewelry, and I took it apart and made straps out of the jewelry so that I wasn't going to miss the evening. It was a big band and a great time, and I went back down with my homemade straps.
Okay, thank you.
This was a silk jersey dress with a velveteen bodice. It was bought in 1942 when I went to Stevens College. They had a great big ballroom and always had the big bands, had several during this year. And we had to have a different formal for each one.
What was the original color? The original color, didn't that fade?
Oh, that was originally pale blue. That's mine. Golly. That's about a 1950 dress that was mine, and I imagine that was bought in Spencer, probably at the Spencer department store. And that's just about all I can tell you about that dress.
Wear that to church?
Yes, you could wear that to church.
You had gloves and a hat on.
Yes, you always wore your gloves and a hat. You couldn't go to a wedding without gloves and a hat. This is one of Mrs. McIntosh's dresses, and I would say her dresses that are here are from the 40s and 50s, and probably most of them bought in Palm Beach, Florida.
Heavy sequin top.
Sequin top and silk skirt.
Now this would be worn to a cocktail party.
Cocktail party, it could be a formal evening wear because after the 40s, the long formals were used for balls and really elegant formal occasions. Most parties you went to were cocktail type dresses, which were short.
This was Mrs. McIntosh's.
This is a chiffon dress with a sequin top that belonged to Mrs. McIntosh, and I would say that dress was bought in the early 40s or late 30s, and I'm sure she wore that in Palm Beach, Florida.
Now, would you wear this only in the evening?
That would be a very formal dress.
Okay. And you would wear gloves with this ordinarily, or not? Or
not necessarily. It depended on what you were attending. That's a beautiful dress.
They were all fighting over that.
That hymns out of that place. This is a silk velvet dress of mine with a pearls and rhinestone and lace yoke, and it was worn by me when I was in senior in high school in 1940, and then at Stevens College in Columbia, Missouri.
What would you wear?
That was for teas, and most dances then were all formal with the long dresses.
You wore that in high school to a formal dance? Do you remember?
Don't ask too many things.
Well, you said high school. It's just a very dressy dress.
Well, it would have to be a special occasion, that's all I know. But I did take it to Stevens College. This is one of Mrs. McIntosh's dresses, and it's a brocade. And I'm sure it was bought in Palm Beach, Florida. Did that have a label in it? All right. And that would possibly be the 40s.
Would that have been also evening cocktail?
Yes. After World War II, most of the formals became less formal, and you wore this cocktail length. You didn't have as many long dresses after World War II was finished.
After it was finished and during the war?
During the war, you didn't have as many parties.
Was that a shortage of goods or a shortage of men?
Well,
Both?
it was just part of being in war. Everything that was manufactured was going to the war effort. And
Gasoline.
right, no gasoline, very few parties. My wedding was during that time. This was my very first really elegant evening dress, and it was bought by my two sisters that lived in New York City at Arnold Constable's. And I was so proud of that dress.
What was the
It's slipper satin.
original color in that?
That was powder blue originally too. And that would be in about 1935.
What did you wear it to?
I don't remember. It was a dance. Probably my very first formal dance. This is a silk jersey dress of mine that I bought to take to Stevens College in 1940. And as I told you before, we had lots of formal balls when we were there. And that was just one of the formals I had with me. We always had the big bands that were Tommy Dorsey, Harry James, Glenn Miller, and had a beautiful big ballroom, and the men always came in their tuxedos, and we had a program that we had to write down which of our girlfriends had the next dance. We would change partners. And it was just really beautiful with the formals that the girls wore.
Just a minute, guys. Would your date bring you a corsage as they do now?
Mm-hmm.
Where would you wear that? Because they have wrist corsages now, or would you?
Oh, they could wear them up here.
On the strap?
Mm. This was 1950s type of dress that you always wore shopping when you went to Charleston. You always dressed up. No one ever looked sloppy or anything like that. You wore high heels and a hat sometimes shopping. And trip shopping was just about as important as going to a party, I think.
I remember we went shopping. It was an all-day trip.
Always.
Planned to go, leave early in the morning and go do all of your shopping and then eat dinner, as I remember. Of course, it was mostly all on Capitol Street in Charleston.
But that would be worn to church or shopping. It was a type of dress that could take care of a lot of occasions.
Okay, we're back. We were just watching that and we were getting really excited because we were reliving the memories.
I was next.
You were next?
Yeah.
Huh? I know. And we were kind of upset, you know, because they cut us off because there was, I don't know, Amanda was coming up next. And I'm not sure.
There was a lot in that tape. I don't know. It was really fun. It was neat.
It was 27 minutes long, so we want you to know that we will play that all the way through next week. And
welcome to the 10 to 11 hour. We have several announcements. We're going to do the giveaway for the Afghan right now. Let's see who is going to win that. You want to draw?
Sure. Wade Coffinduffer is the winner of the Afghan. So congratulations, Wade. And Laura, I think you have a few announcements.
Okay, we're going to update you on who's ahead for all of the giveaways for this evening. For the Jeff Hosteller autographed football, we have $150 from Bob and Anita Ashley. They're ahead in that right now. For Jeff Fetty's candle holder, we have $100 from Western Auto and Ed and Diane Vineyard. For the baseballs, we have $100 from John and Karen Denbeigh. The wall hanging, we have $100 from Joyce Conrad. the Stephen King book, $150 from Stephen Martin, and the mailbox, $50 from Gerald Titus. So if you want to up your donation so you can...
Call now. I think, who's tied for the candle holders?
Western Auto and Ed and Diane Vineyard, so...
Maybe we can get a competition going there. So, well, in this hour, we're going to interview some people from the play Our Town, which is over, and we heard that the performance went pretty well. So, we're excited to interview them. And let's see, we have a bunch of people to thank. No, don't thank anybody.
Right now, let's send it over to Bree and Justin.
Okay.
Thank you so much, gang.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate that.
Yes, definitely. As they said, we have a lot of people here from our town. It just lit out. And we have a bunch of really excited actors, kind of tired, but ready to be on TV.
Definitely. That is a tiring thing to do, is get up in front of everybody and, you know, just, you know, I mean, it's physical to act. And
Especially Our Town, the play that they just did. It's very emotionally draining, and it's not like this one not be comedy. It's very deep. So that type of play definitely wears you out.
And we're going to hear more about that play as this hour goes on. Of course, you know, as you know, some of the cast members are here to be interviewed. It's going to be a very informal thing. So, you know, if they get on and we're sitting on the floor or something, don't be surprised, okay? So it's going to be really informal. A lot of people are going to come up. Tim Crislip did a tape earlier this evening before their play started, or during their play.
Yeah, I think during the play, a few bits of what they were doing.
So we have that tape ready now, and we'll come back with some live interviews of the cast members of Our Town. So let's go to that tape now, made by Tim Crislip.
Thank you. And here's your program. Get your program. $3 per student. Okay. What did you think? $5? Okay. So you need. Okay. Yeah.
Presenting John Holmquist on September the 29th. Mr. Holmquist is a classical guitarist and will be playing a performance, one-third of the performance with a 12-string guitar, half of which is nylon and half is steel string, which is very popular, I guess, in Europe and Russia. And the rest of the performance in
New Hampshire, just over the line from Massachusetts. Latitude 42 degrees, 40 minutes. Longitude 70 degrees, 37 minutes. Now this first act shows a day in our town. Date's May 7, 1908.
Like wool. Wally, put away your book. Oh, Ma, by 10 o'clock, I've got to know all about Canada. You know the rules well as I do. No books at table. As for me, I'd rather have my children healthy than bright. Well, I'm both, Mama. You know I am. I'm the brightest girl in school for my age. I have a wonderful memory. Eat your breakfast. Anyway.
Oh, Ma, I got a lot of things to buy.
Strawberry phosphates. That's what you spend it on.
I don't see how Rebecca comes to have so much money. She has more than $1.
Well, I've been saving it up gradual. Well, dear, it's good to spend some now and then. Mama, do you know what I love most in the world? Do you? No, I'm going to use all in the back of the building. Yes,
Hi, and I'm here with two of our actors and actors. We have Stephen Martin, who played George Gibbs, and Laura Balzer, who played Emily Webb in the play. The play was called Our Town, and they performed it tonight at the WRCH Auditorium. And so we're here to talk to him and see how that went. Laura, can you tell me a little bit about your part and how it went?
Well, my character's name was Emily Webb, and at the beginning of the play she starts out and she's about 12 years old, and then the play goes through her falling in love with her neighbor George, and then she gets married, and then she dies. And after she dies, she goes back and she lives through a day, and she realizes everything that she didn't really realize before, everything that was so important, and just the little things that really meant a lot. And that's basically what the whole play is about, just how important life is and how much you should realize it while you live it.
Okay. And Stephen, you played George Gibbs. Can you tell us a little bit about his part?
In the first act, we're dealing with mostly a daily life in Grover's Corners, and then the second act deals with my trying to court Emily. And at the end of the act, we get married, and by the beginning of the third act, my wife is already dead. She died during child labor.
Go ahead. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. We had a little technical difficulty with the mic. Somebody turned it off. Okay, but I'm here with Stephen Martin, who played George Gibbs, and he's going to tell you a little bit about his parts.
Okay, in the first act, George just goes through a daily life in Grover's Corners, and the second act deals with his courtship of Emily Webb, his next-door neighbor. And they go through many trials, tribulations, and fights before they finally admit to each other that they like each other. And at the end of the second act, they get married. But by the end of the third act, she's died, and he grieves throughout the act.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. So did you guys think that the play went pretty well?
It went really well.
Yeah.
Very
That's
well.
good. That's great. Okay, now we're going to go over to Bree and Justin, and they have two more characters. Mr. and Mrs. Lopez played two of those characters. I'm not sure what they are, but so we'll go over to them, and they can tell you a little more about that.
I'm really not sure what they played either.
Well, do you guys just want to go ahead and tell us what your part in Our Town was?
Sure. I played Dr. Frank Gibbs, and this is my wife, Mrs. Gibbs.
Wow.
Okay, great.
That worked out good, didn't it?
Yeah, pretty smooth.
Yeah, thanks. How long have you been practicing for these parts?
Middle of February.
Since middle of February.
Oh, really? So were you really excited to finally get on stage in front of a full house?
Yeah. Much
Yeah.
better with an audience.
Mm-hmm.
More participation.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever done any acting before in any of the arts and humanities plays, or was this your first?
Well, I was in The King and I,
Mhm.
and I did several in Jackson County Theater.
Uh-huh.
This is my first time on stage.
Is it?
Really?
Well, that's when. Did you guys have a lot of butterflies beforehand?
Yeah, before I walked down the aisle, I was pretty scared.
Oh, really? Really? That's great. And did you guys? Was there? Now I know that the play was tonight. I think it started at 7. And if people at home didn't catch it, it's going to be going on the rest of this weekend too. What are the times tomorrow?
7 o'clock tomorrow and 2 o'clock on Sunday.
Oh, great, great.
What's the admission? I mean,
It's $5 for adults and $3 for students and senior citizens.
Wonderful, wonderful. And your director, that was Mr. Smith, Bob Smith, right? That's great. And how big of a cast did you guys have?
About 30.
Wow.
All together.
that's
Wow.
pretty good.
Did you guys, was it able to work really well with that many people? I mean, that's a very large cast.
They're very cooperative people,
Really?
very professional people.
Oh, that's wonderful that you guys could work together so well.
And from all ages, we had students from 6th grade up until walk counts and some of the older people in the community.
Uh-huh.
That helped out greatly for our play.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. Well, I'm so glad you guys had a good opening night.
So did you all break a leg? I mean,
Almost broke a leg.
I think everybody did. Everybody had a really good performance.
that's good. That's really good.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks
I know
for
you
having
guys
us.
are really tired. I'm sure you want to get home and get ready for tomorrow night's performance.
That's right, so everybody come out and watch Our Town.
Definitely. I'm going to be there. I mean, if that means anything. I'm going to be there Sunday. So,
Yeah, me too. Sunday at 2 and tomorrow at 7. So.
And make sure you call in and support the telethon.
Definitely. That's 927-6404.
If you want to call and, you know, give a donation, or you want to call and just say, hey, I'm watching.
Right.
That's, you know, we like to hear that stuff. We like to hear when people are watching us, you know, just to let us know, you know. We're just talking to this camera here.
Right. Right, definitely.
Anyway, well, we're going to send it over to Jill and her two cast members. Still there. Okay, we'll send it back over to them.